Hello, guys, and welcome back to the Glory Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Kyle Quinn, and join me today is Brush. How's it going, Brush?
Not too bad, mate. Not too bad. It's been a little while. A lot to discuss today.
Yeah, it has been about 6 weeks or so since we done a show together, and a lot has happened since then. Well, a lot has happened in the last few days.
Yeah.
Um, we'll get straight into Ronaldo, like it says on the thumbnail. Ronaldo was dropped the bombshell on Saturday evening. There, we were all just going about our business, thinking United were finally starting to bring in players, and we were starting to relax a wee bit more. And then Ronaldo just dropped this bombshell out of nowhere. He wants to leave the club. If the club get a satisfactory offer, he wants the club to let him go. At first, I was thinking it's just a play, maybe to get the club to start signing some quality players, but now that he hasn't showed for the first day of preseason, like all the rest of the international players have done today. I know officially it's for family reasons, but it does seem a bit convenient. On the Saturday, his agent puts it out there to the media that he wants to leave, and then on the Monday he doesn't turn up for training. So, what are your thoughts on the Ronaldo situation, then, Brush?
Yeah, absolutely. My thoughts are very similar to yours, Carl. Over the weekend, I didn't really pay this to any attention at all, to be honest with you. When it did come out, I thought it was rather random. And yeah, like you say, I also felt that it was probably a ploy in order to apply pressure to our board because they're taking so long to get transfers over the line. So I thought that's what it was. But today, obviously, him conveniently not turning up for training, yeah, that's an alarm bell for me because we've seen this before. He's got this in his locker when he's not happy. So yeah, it's going to be an intense week. I think we'll know fully by Friday whether he's on that plane or not, and that would let us know everything that there is to know.
Yeah, well, he was aware that United weren't going to be playing Champions League football probably around the end of April. Why didn't he communicate this, say, at the end of the season? He kind of left us in the lurch now because I think Ten Hag wanted to focus the majority of his budget elsewhere in the team and wasn't going to bring in a number nine. And Ronaldo is just kind of, you know, told us out of the blue now that he wants to leave and at the start of July.
I,
Do you think he left us in the lurch a wee bit?
I think perhaps he wanted to wait and see what the plans were, and perhaps the ambitions that he had are not shared by our board and what they're doing, and that's what's prompted him to want to leave.
Yeah, well, I always thought that the lack of Champions League football was going to be an issue for
Mm.
him.
I mean,
Um,
yeah, yes and no, because for me, the guy's 37. He's got 5 Champions League titles. He's the top scorer all time in the competition. He's got nothing left to prove in that competition. So as much as people say he wants to go just for Champions League, I don't think it's just for that.
yeah, well, I suppose with us being in the Europa League,
Mm.
Ronaldo obviously wants to win the major honors. He probably, maybe, I'm guessing that he was waiting around to see if United would begin to build a team that's capable of winning the Premier League this season, and
I
clearly
think,
that's not happened.
yeah, I mean, realistically, I don't think that was possible in one season, but I think there were probably some signs in the transfer market that he was looking for, and that probably wasn't met. And I think it's the same for us as well, isn't it? Because we've been eagerly anticipating what's going to happen in this window, and so far we've bought potentially a backup right back is what we've got so far.
Yeah, if we think back to a couple of weeks ago, Jorge Mendes did have a meeting with the Chelsea owner. We thought nothing of that at the time,
No,
but
yeah,
but now it looks as if there was good reason for that meeting taking place. Um, but what the signal that we've got from the likes of Mark Ogden is that United will not entertain offers from fellow Premier League clubs, but they'd be willing to do a deal with someone like Bayern or Napoli. So I think no United fan wants to see Ronaldo go to one of our rivals in the Premier League, but if he goes off to Bayern Munich, that's perfectly understandable, isn't it?
yeah. So with regards to Bayern Munich, I think they closed the door at the moment, so I don't think that's a possibility. Um, and even for that to happen, I think a domino effect would have to happen, and Lewandowski would definitely have to leave. So at the moment, I don't think that's a realistic possibility. The only place I could have seen him going is perhaps Sporting Lisbon. But then in my mind, he can do that next year if he wants to, at the end of the contract. I know we've got an option, but it makes sense for me that he could have waited on that.
Well, if he really wants to win the Champions League one last time, there's no point in going to a club who are just there to make up the
Well,
numbers.
exactly. If you go there, you're gonna get 6 group games, obviously. So unless you want a stat pad in that, I don't really see the point.
Do you see a situation here where the signs start to roll in the next fortnight or so, and then Ronaldo kind of softens his stance and decides to stay in the end, or do you think he's hell bent on leaving the club now?
It's very difficult to tell because obviously this came out of the blue, but this was a pivotal week for us anyway. And I'm sure you saw the news that the kit launch has been delayed by a week. I can only assume that's because they expect one or two more arrivals before they do that.
Yeah, we're absolutely hoping to see fresh faces on the plane to Thailand,
Mm.
because you know the fans are being exasperated, waiting on players to come in. And the last thing we want is the squad from last season jetting out to Australia and Thailand.
And I'll tell you what, though, the other thing that intrigued me as well. I mean, obviously the timing of this is not great, but the way I felt that we needed another striker anyway, irrespective of Ronaldo staying or not. So in that sense, I guess we're in the same boat. I felt that I was quite worried going into this season with Ronaldo leading the line week in, week out. I thought we definitely needed another striker. But such is the state of our squad that I think we know that major surgery is needed elsewhere. And I was just sort of happy to, adjust this season, as it were, with what we have. But yeah, it just speeds up the process, I guess. It's something that would have needed addressing anyway.
Yeah, it was probably going to need addressed in 12 months' time. And Ronaldo is gonna, like you say, speeded up that process. But where is the money going to come from to replace him? Because it's being
Yeah,
focused elsewhere.
yeah, that's the thing. I mean, obviously, it does free up big wages, but the striker market this summer isn't that great either. So I don't know what you do, which is why I was quite happy to just wait a year. I know Nkunku at Leipzig has signed a new contract, which comes with a 60 million euro release clause, which comes into play from next year. So things like that, I thought, we'll just wait a year and see. Um, but yeah, it definitely throws a spanner in the works.
Yeah, even the likes of Victor Osman at Napoli. I mean, they paid 70 million euro for him 2 years ago from Lille. How
Yeah,
much money would they want now?
they will want 80 to 100 to even entertain any kind of talk. It's just not viable.
No, and imagine if the Glazers suddenly stumped up the 100 million euros to replace Ronaldo. It would just be an absolute joke, wouldn't it? Because sitting there pretending that the money isn't available, but then when
Yeah.
there's an emergency, all of a sudden the money's made available.
Oh, another thing we need to discuss, Carl, is obviously the Richard Arnold thing, the leaked footage of him, sat there having a pint, telling us that the money's there. So, when you're deep into negotiations and trying to haggle over your main target over the summer, which is Frankie de Jong, it makes no sense for that kind of stuff to come out saying that the money is there.
Yeah, that was extremely naive for him to say that. I know
Yeah.
he probably wasn't aware that he's being recorded, but
Yeah, that was terrible as well in itself. If you've got that kind of opportunity, why ruin it by secretly filming? It just means that any future engagement with fans is out the question.
yeah, probably. But I suppose there's no point in him talking to 12 fans,
Yeah.
um, because once they communicate the information onto others,
Mm,
they're not going to be believed by other fans. They're not going to say you didn't meet with Richard Arnold. Stop talking nonsense.
mm,
Um, but I suppose when they film it, then there's proof of what he said. But then, like you
yeah.
said, the drawback to that is that he probably won't meet
Yeah,
fans
and these things
again.
tend to go viral, don't they? So yeah, it's all a bit mad.
Yeah. So another link, and this is it's not come from a great source, of being honest, to the Daily Feel. Manchester United make contact with Paulo Dybala's agent as the Red Devils scrambled to find a new striker after Ronaldo asked to leave the club, but they face competition from Tottenham, Inter, and Napoli. So, would you consider Dybala as an option if Ronaldo does leave?
Not really, because the thing we love about Ronaldo is that he provides goals. Um, Dybala's not an out and out striker. He's more of a support guy, a creative outlet, if you will. And his numbers aren't great either. He's 29 now. He already turned us down once in the past. And he'll demand high wages. And I'll question his reasons for coming, which will probably be the wages. And that's something we need to get away from. We need players here who want to be here and not for a payday.
Yeah, can't argue with that. He is a creative striker, like you say. He's not an out and out
Yeah.
number nine. I suppose he can play that role if required. I suppose if you want to compare him to an English player, he's a bit like Rooney, isn't he? He's kind of versatile. He can play in
A
multiple
little bit,
positions.
not
Yeah,
nowhere near as much energy or determination or commitment as Rooney.
yeah, yeah. He's a very good player, but yeah, like you say, he'd be commanding huge wages.
I'll tell
But
you what, who I would like. I wouldn't mind Lautaro Martinez from Inter, but I don't know how realistic that is. They'll want big money, and also I know he's chuffed to bits at being reunited with Lukaku.
yeah, well, with him, I don't think his goal scoring record is particularly fantastic either. But I think he would potentially do well in the Premier League because,
But yeah, in a Ten Hag system, maybe I think he would take to it well. I just think he's a brilliant little player.
yeah, and he's a very, very energetic and combative,
Mm.
forward. He's willing to work hard for the team.
He
But
presses as well. He's a proper pressing forward.
yeah, that's great. It's just that his goals output isn't
Mm.
fantastic. It doesn't really jump off the page at you. The number of goals that he gets.
Yeah, I was
Um,
really looking forward to this month anyway, because obviously the pre-season and all the games coming up will give us a better indication of how we're going to set up. Perhaps it might be better if we didn't have a focal point and the goals were more spread out amongst the team.
Yeah, we'll need to see some definitive proof that the other players in the team can actually score goals. Because we didn't really see that
Yeah, that too.
at the back end of last season. Yeah, well, the last thing we want is to go back to Rashford and Martial sharing the number 9 position.
Yeah. I mean, I have zero faith in that. But I mean, the club have been doing a pretty good job on the PR front of putting out all these pictures of Rashford in training.
Yeah, and Maguire posted up a video of himself jogging.
Yeah,
None of that impresses anyone anymore. I mean,
yeah,
it's totally
yeah.
tone deaf.
Uh-huh.
Um, yeah, I'm just fed up with.
And with
Oh,
Martial, I mean, for me, last season was his last chance saloon, and he had a disastrous spell at Sevilla. So I don't really know where we go from here with him.
yeah, because there's nobody really making any offers for him.
Nope, and he's on about 240 a week, I think, and no one's going to touch that. He had 3 injuries whilst on loan at Sevilla. No La Liga goals. I think the fans booed him at one stage.
And that is the least surprising thing I've ever heard,
Mm.
because he is a player that tends to not apply himself all the time. Looks as if he's disinterested.
And it's a
Um,
shame because he's so talented.
yeah, but I mean, he hasn't played well for
Yeah.
quite a long time now. But the good thing from that point of view is that I think he's into the last year of his contract now, isn't he?
I think he might have two left. I'm not sure.
But I think the second one might
Yeah.
be the plus one. Where the United always do
Right,
that with
right.
every
If it's an
contract.
option, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I would not exercise that option. I would
Mm.
just let him go.
Yeah, especially not on those wages.
Yeah, 100%.
I think it's a similar situation with Rashford as well.
Yeah, that's true. There's no doubt that at some point in the next 12 months we're going to have to splash big money on a striker,
Yeah,
get
yeah,
somebody in who's going to score goals.
yeah. For me, the trouble is we need to properly scout as well. It's all about getting the right profile of player, not just going for the big name.
Yeah. Well, the good thing about this window, what we're seeing is, our targets are Terrell Molasaya, De Jong, Eriksen, and Lissandro Martinez. What
Mm.
these are clearly Ten Hag signings. These are the
Yeah,
players that he wants, and that's all we asked for at the start of the window. Let's not go out there signing, you know, star names and bring them into the team and pay them high wages. Let's go after players that Ten Hag has scouted himself and wants and these and the players that will fit into his system and his style of play, and that seems to be what the policy is this season. So I know,
absolutely. I think De Jong probably fits both of those, doesn't it? Where he would be a marquee, big money signing and the high wages, and from a marketing point of view, it ticks all of those boxes. But yeah, predominantly he is also someone that Ten Hag has worked with and has identified. So that's the main thing.
yeah, De Jong kind of ticks both boxes.
Mm.
In terms of a signing that Ten Hag thinks is vital to the way he wants to play, and a marquee name that the Man United hierarchy can constantly post photos of him in the new kit and social media and
Yeah, but
bring
it's
him out.
also one that, which is why I don't understand why we're haggling. Because there is a time and place to negotiate. I totally agree. Because we did need an overhaul of the way we were negotiating because it was ridiculous. But when you make this guy like the benchmark of your summer window, you're not really in a position to haggle, especially when the player himself doesn't really want to leave where he's at. If you see a chance to strike, you just need to get it done.
Yeah, there's still several tier one journalists who are saying that De Jong is still not completely sold on joining Manchester
Yeah,
United.
yeah, exactly. And then, it's dragged on now for over a month and a half, and we're talking a difference of about 10 or 15 million. And, everyone would have heard the news the other week of dividends leaving the club again of around 11 million, and things like that don't help matters.
Yeah, and particularly when they could have put that 11 million towards the De Jong transfer and probably got a deal done quicker.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. And another thing, last summer, when it became abundantly clear that Paul Pogba and Jesse Lingard had no intention of signing an extension, why were they not sold? Um, Even with a year remaining, and even if we're lowballing here, we could have got 40 to 50 million, I'd say, for Pogba last summer, probably 15 to 20 for Jesse Lingard. So, you're looking at 60 to 70 million potentially we could have been sat on, which would have come in handy now, and you wouldn't be haggling over De Jong.
I know, but I suppose all we can say about that is that it was under a previous regime, Ed Woodward, and he made a catalogue of poor decisions every single season.
Yeah.
We're hoping things will slightly change now. Even the fact that um, Richard Arnold is a completely different character to Ed Woodward, that he's
Mm.
willing to go out and meet fans down at the pub, is definitely shows that things are changing, and that even he told the fans in that meeting that John and Eric will be given the power to sign the players, and I'll be taking a back seat. That is definitely a change in policy from the Ed Woodward era, isn't it?
Yeah, that is a lot of pressure on Murto, especially because with O'Boyle coming in as well to help him out with to delegate certain duties. So he's pretty much just left with all the important stuff and first team affairs. So yeah, a lot of pressure on him.
Yeah, definitely. And it seems as if United have brought in Michael Keane's brother, Tom Keane, who's a solicitor to help out John Murdoch. That doesn't sound great, does it?
That Yeah, I don't really know where to begin with that, to be honest.
Yeah, there's a comment in there from Martin Leonard, and he wants to know why you're not showing your face brush during the show.
Do you know what it is? It's pure laziness, is what it is. It's because I need to get a camera and set it up on my PC so I can do what you guys do. I'm usually always on my phone, so I'm kind of moving around. So there you go. There's my face.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on now to a bit of positivity. It's been announced today that United and Christian Eriksen have verbally agreed terms. He's communicated to both United and Brentford of his decision, and that is that he's going to join the Old Trafford club. So, Sam Pilger, the journalist, says here Christian Eriksen is an inspired and astute signing by MUFC. Since his return to the Premier League, only De Bruyne and Odegaard have created more chances than him, and on a free transfer too. great piece of business. Would you share that opinion, Brush?
Absolutely, I'm very happy about this. Very experienced player, especially with us losing the likes of Mata and Matic as well. He brings a wealth of experience. He showed at Brentford as well. He can play a bit deeper as well in midfield. So versatile as well. Again, a student of Ajax. He will understand the way Ten Hag wants to play. So yeah, all round, I think that's a good move.
Um, what do you think of the prospect of a midfield pivot of De Jong and Eriksen? Do you think that could work in the Premier League?
We are going to have to wait and see during preseason. The only thing I will say about Eriksen is that if he comes in to be the main guy, then I would have some concerns. I am more than happy to have him as a rotation option.
Yeah, definitely. We're gonna have 2 games a week once the Europa League starts. I can
Yeah,
imagine that either he's going to be playing in the Premier League games or he's going to be playing in the Europa League games. Um, Either way, it's he's a great asset to have. And one thing that sometimes doesn't get mentioned often enough is his ability from set pieces, corners, and free kicks. I mean, I just love to see Eriksen swing a free kick into the top corner. It doesn't feel as if we get goals and free kicks often enough, does it? I think maybe one last season for Ronaldo, and that was it.
his free kick output has been terrible over the last couple of years. It was terrible at Juventus as well. Yeah, I'm surprised he hasn't got more competition.
Yeah, I have seen him score from free kicks, and I've seen Spurs get lots of goals from his corners.
Yeah, because with
Um,
Ronnie, I think the record was something like 2 in 80 or something. It was mad.
yeah, it was poor. We haven't really been scoring goals from free kicks since Juan Mata was a part of
And
the starting
yeah,
11.
he was probably my favorite one at set pieces.
Yeah, he has a great conversion rate. Is it like
Yeah,
23% or something? It doesn't sound high, but it is. That's a huge. That's up there with David Beckham's
yeah, it was
conversion rate.
brilliant. It was brilliant. And when I think about Matt, I just get sad. He's just a player that we totally misused. He was just at the club at the wrong time. We wasted his best years, and he was never played as a 10 where he belonged.
Yeah, uh, definitely. I mean, yeah, he spent most of his time at United out on the right hand side. Although that's where he got those 2 goals at Anfield. So
Hmm.
it worked out. And another brilliant moment from Juan Mata was that free kick in Juventus. In the Champions League game where Mourinho was cupping his ears at the Juventus fans, and that was another great moment from Juan Mata. So definitely sad to see him go. To be honest with you,
Did you enjoy the video as well that you put out? I thought that was lovely.
yeah, I did. Yeah,
Yeah, it got
that
me a
was a
bit
nice
emotional.
piece.
That
Yeah, you forget all the great moments that he's had in the United shirt.
I can't believe it was 8.5 years. It doesn't feel like that long.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, he's been there from almost the start of the downturn.
Since we capitulated. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I remember his arrival as well because he landed by a helicopter.
yeah, that was in January
It was a
2014.
January. Yeah, we had been beaten by Chelsea as well with Samuel Eto'o scoring a hat trick, and I remember Fergie and Gil were at that game, and I think they had a role to play in getting the Mata deal over the line.
Yeah, and Fergie intervened to get Ronaldo to come to United instead of City. I don't think Fergie will be able to do anything this time if Ronaldo wants to leave.
No, no. I mean, like I say, the guy's 37. He needed support anyway. If he does go, obviously it's a blow, but it just speeds up the need to rebuild.
Yeah, it does. So I was watching a video earlier which BT Sport posted on their YouTube channel, and it was a compilation of Terrell Malassi's highlights from the UEFA Conference League final, Feyenoord against Roma, just a matter of weeks ago, and he looks absolutely sensational. Him like crossing the ball with the outside of his left foot. He had a shot on goal in that game, which was brilliantly tipped onto the post by the keeper. He seemed to have a lethal shot on him, a lethal cross. His pace is absolutely electric. It's really hard not to get carried away when you watch him, on highlight reels.
Especially when you look at the quality of the left backs that we have. Yeah, I've only seen about two full games of him. One of them was that game, and the other was for the national team. A lot of potential. He's only 22 years old, obviously coming into a new league. It is going to take him a little while to bed in. I just hope that Luke Shaw has the same impetus he had when we signed Tellez, and hopefully that gives him a little kick as well.
Yeah. Do you think there's potential for Shaw to be relegated to the bench with this young fella coming in? 'Cause clearly, Ten Hag has been watching him closely in the Eredivisie and really, really fancies him as a player. And when you watch some highlights of him, you can see why. Uh, Most people seem to think that he's coming in to provide competition for Shaw, but could it be possible that he will be the number one left back?
I can't see it happening from the start, but yeah, the opportunity is definitely there for the young man.
Yeah, I would, I would, I want to see a clean break from the absolute shambles that has been the last couple of seasons. So the
Yeah,
more new players that are in the starting 11, the better. I mean, you,
I think this spells the end of Tellez, though. I think we'll see him go in this window.
oh, 100%. I think I've made my thoughts clear on Tellers on a
Yeah,
number of occasions.
I've already heard that Porto are circling. The only thing that annoys me is that initially I think they want him on loan. I'd rather we just sell.
Yeah. Oh, don't talk. I'm absolutely sick of us loaning everybody out and getting no transfer fees. It just frustrates me.
Yeah,
And I know some of it is down to the wages, but we have to do more to sell players. I mean, look, we were able to sell Daniel James, weren't we, and got made a profit on him. So we need to be able to do more of that. Um,
him and Daily Blind are the only ones that we've sold on at a profit post Fergie.
which is absolutely terrible.
It's
Um,
ridiculous.
on this summer, due to the Glazernomics, we need extra cash to put towards buying players. So we need to sell a couple of people. Just stop loaning everybody out. It's really
Yeah, I
frustrating
mean,
that.
it took me a few days to get my head around the whole Henderson one because initially I would have preferred there was at least an obligation to buy, but I've come around to the idea now. I think, listen, they're covering all of his wages. He's going to get first team football. If he has a good season, perhaps we'll get more money for him next summer. So it's not the end of the world.
Martin Leonard says, "Who knew we could get the Irish Mark Goldridge and R. Kelly podcast? 2022 keeps on giving."
Hey, hey,
That's not.
I look
That's
nothing
not.
like Mark Goldbridge. uh,
Yeah, not sure if they're terribly favorable comments there. Um, yeah, so I was feeling really positive a week ago because we're starting to make progress, but now the Ronaldo news has been a real downer. So I'm feeling a real mixed emotions at the moment. I'm 60% down and 40% up. I don't really know how to feel right now. How are you feeling at the moment, Bruce?
yeah, all we can do is wait, really. So yeah, it was a pivotal week, like I said, anyway. So we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens.
So Lissandro Martinez, Ten Hag seems absolutely keen on getting him, determined to get him, but so is Arteta. You would like to think that Ten Hag will have the advantage here on Arsenal and Arteta, don't you?
Yeah, you'd like to think so. Having played under him and knowing him inside out, yeah, I think that. Well, in theory, it should give us the leeway with him.
Yeah, but Fabrizio saying that Arsenal won't give up and they're very much still in the race. I wonder what makes them think that they can convince him to ditch Ten Hag and go to them. Not really sure. It's hard to know, but from watching him, he looks a fantastic ball playing centre back. Obviously, at 5'9", it's not ideal for the Premier League. Yeah.
Yeah,
How do you
that that
think he will
that's
adapt?
that's the one thing that I did have concerns about his size. But yeah, I think the pros probably outweigh it. It's just the fact that Ten Hag knows him well and has worked with him. So in the kind of style that he wants to set up, I think it will probably make sense. They call him the Pitbull. I've spoken to one or two Ajax fans as well, and they tell me they compared him to Mascherano, and if he's half the player that Mascherano was on, I'll have no complaints.
Yeah, because he can also play in defensive midfield if required.
Yeah,
Do you think Ten Hag will mostly use him as centre back, or do you think he'll play him alongside De Jong in central midfield?
he could fit in any number of positions. He can play left back, centre back, and DM. And with the way our squad is, he could, yeah. he would be first choice anywhere.
So essentially, we're signing another Daily Blind.
Yeah, essentially a younger Daily Blind. Yeah, I would love to see him as a DM. Personally, I just think that we've missed someone who's rough and can really get stuck in there for so long. But yeah, let's wait and see.
Yeah, maybe you could argue he's a cross between Daily Blind and Gabriel Lindsay.
I would need to do some more research though on like the height of Premier League defenders. Have we had nine, 5'9" defenders in the Premier League? That does seem rather short.
It does. I think even Inte, who I mentioned there, was at least 5'11". So
Yeah, like because
uh,
even in partnerships, you could, I know up front we've done the big man, small man thing. I don't know if the same works in defense.
yeah, it could be an issue with if crosses come into the box from when we're playing against teams. They may target that. I remember, I'm old enough to remember Gary Neville filling in at centre back, and it was a total
Oh, that was
disaster.
atrocious. Atrocious.
Yeah, I remember the likes of John Carew totally easily out jumping Gary Neville and burying
Yeah,
his header into the top corner. Yeah, so it's not ideal his height, but I mean his footballing attributes are fantastic. He can switch the play a lot as well. You can see what attracts Ten Hag to him. Because if Ten Hag wants to play out from the back, he wants a centre back who can play a diagonal ball out to the right hand side from the left. Then he's absolutely perfect, isn't he?
yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, I'm not getting too carried away because of the way we do business. I'm keeping my feet firmly on the ground and just hoping that things get done. So yeah, if he
Yeah,
comes in,
and
it'll
we
be a
never
bonus.
know. We never know how a signing is going to work out at United. I mean, what's the success rate in the last 9 years? It must be like 2%.
Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah. Honestly, so I'd hate to run through the list of transfers to see just who's been a success and who hasn't worked out.
So just while we're here, who has been a success in terms of signings in the
I
post
mean,
Ferguson era?
the first one that pops out is probably Van Persie, but even then, my concerns at the time were realised. My concerns at the time when we signed it were that it's a very short-term signing, and that's exactly what it proved to be. I was gutted when Van Gaal came in because I thought they would work well together, especially after that World Cup they had when he scored that wonder goal on that. But it never really seemed to work out for him under Van Gaal.
Yeah, after one season, Van Gaal seemed to go off him. Must have thought that he was physically deteriorating and he wasn't good enough anymore. And it wasn't
Yeah,
he told him on the golf course or something that he wasn't going to be first choice, and Van Persie was furious and obviously left the club. But Van Persie, I suppose, doesn't really count because he was signed by Alex Ferguson. So
yeah.
so what I'm asking you is who has been a successful signing in the last 9 years? I
My
suppose
favorite has probably been Daily Blind, but that's a really odd one to say. Andy Herrera was good. I liked him. I didn't like the way he left.
what about Bruno Fernandes? Does he still count as a success? I would say he does. Yeah.
Probably just about, but yeah, it's still early days there, isn't it? Hasn't
Yeah.
achieved anything.
No, his first 18 months were explosive, but
Mm,
he's since Ronaldo came in, he's tailed off quite a bit. There's
yeah,
an argument there that Ronaldo and Bruno can't play in the same team. Would you go along
yeah,
with that?
they take up similar positions and that. Yeah, there's a lot of things that he can improve in his game.
Definitely. I've been discussing this with other people on the show about Bruno. Um, we know that Ten Hag is the type of manager he likes possession football. Um, Bruno gives the ball away quite a lot
A
during
lot.
games.
Yeah.
Okay, a lot of the time he will get a goal or an assist or two goals and give the ball away quite a lot in the same game. But I don't think Ten Hag will put up with him surrendering possession quite easily all the time. Do you think there could come a point where Bruno could find himself on the bench?
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. For me, when I look at the way Ten Hag sets up, I don't see Bruno in the midfield three. Um, if we do use him, I think he'll be further forward.
Could Bruno potentially be a false nine this season?
Potentially, potentially. I've also heard one or two of the Ajax fans talk about potentially him starting out wide, similar to how he used like a Tadic.
Matt Smith says that Bruno assist to Zaha on the final day was absolute top class.
It was what fantastic vision. I think I tweeted it as well. It was mad. Uh,
And he also says, "Are United in the mud? I hear Ronaldo wants to make this step up and move to Goodison Park."
uh,
I don't think things have quite got that bad.
I'll tell you what, Matt. You know that 60 million you got for Richarlison? Yeah, send that our way. You can have Ronaldo.
Yeah, definitely. 60 million for a 37-year-old would be a great piece of business for the selling club. So are you confident that we're going to get De Jong over the line? It's so boring now, isn't it? But
It's yeah, because this is what I was afraid of at the very beginning. It was going to drag on all summer, wasn't it? It's just yeah, it just gives me nightmares and flashbacks of the whole Fabregas saga.
yeah, I think if United don't get this over the line now, it's going to be humiliation for the club, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, and also, whilst this has dragged on, other targets have gone elsewhere. I don't think we have a plan B as such to Frankie. So if it doesn't
Mhm.
happen, it's really bad.
Well, one plan B, which the fans are in favour of, I'm not sure what Ten Hag's thoughts are, is Ruben Neves. He still remains at Wolves, so there's a backup option if Ten Hag likes that player.
But again, I mean, he's had a fantastic season. And they all look across at West Ham, who have priced Declan Rice at between 100 to 120 million, and no doubt they will price Neves accordingly. I think at the moment they want something like 60 to 70 million. Had we acted on it last summer, you probably could have got that deal done for about 35.
Yeah, definitely. Matt says here, Broya, Gallagher, Dennis, and another centre back, and everyone can get to the heights of 12th next season. If United continue to free fall, we could be finishing 11th next season. If we're going to lose Ronaldo's goals, we would be
Yeah.
that far down the table.
Yeah, listen, if it wasn't for some of Ronaldo's goals and some of De Gea's saves, we probably would have been closer to that.
Yeah, and seeing some kind of revisionism already, where people are saying, "Oh, Ronaldo's goals came in twos and threes." He had a lot of blanks last
I
season.
mean, they did come in bunches. I mean, the 18 goals probably came in about 10, 12 games. That's, that's true. But, we still would have missed them if that wasn't there. Could you imagine if Cavani had the job of leading us last season
Well, you can't really lead a team from a different continent, can you?
from the beach?
Yeah, I mean, Ronaldo might have scored hat tricks on braces, and they didn't score in an awful lot of games, but those were crucial goals because they got us 3 points in a number of occasions. Got us through the Champions League group.
And that's the
Um,
thing. And you need to understand he was by himself as well. And a player of his age, you need to rotate him. And he didn't have adequate cover. Ralph tried to get adequate cover in January, but he was shut down.
yeah, you're right. Apparently now, it came out. I can't remember who was the journalist who reported it. It might have been Samuel Luckhurst. Says that Ranić recommended that United sell Ronaldo in January and replace him with a younger striker. In hindsight, do you think Ranić was on the right track there?
I don't know how you sell a player like Ronaldo, just because of the age and wages. And also, you have to understand part of the reason that we signed him were commercial. And to that side of things, it's been a successful signing as far as the Glazers and United are concerned.
Yeah, well, definitely they'll be desperate for him to go to Thailand on Australia. That was
Yeah.
one of the main reasons why they wanted him there. And if he's going to boycott the tour now, the hierarchy at the club are going to be very, very frustrated.
Yeah,
Because
exactly. It's a pivotal week. We'll know by Friday if this is all a ruse or not. But obviously, it's very concerning today that he's not turned up for training.
Matt was saying there that United will improve when Ronaldo leaves. I've heard that opinion quite a lot, but I suppose the proof will be next season.
Yeah.
If Ronaldo goes,
In
if
in the
United,
long term, I agree with Matt. But in the short term, I just don't think we have any other goal scorers in the team.
no, we don't. I think between March and May last season, Ronaldo scored all but one of our goals, and the other one was Fred against Leicester or something.
Now
So
you could argue that that's because he's there and we play to his, we play to him. But without adequate replacement, I don't really see where how you make that up.
I know, because you know the likes of Rashford and Sancho and Martial and Alanga. I mean, they're not lethal goal scorers. They'll get the odd goal, but you wouldn't want to be relying on them to provide match winners.
How
All the
how,
time.
how do you feel about Ilanga?
I think he's a very good player, but I don't think he should be a regular starter in our 11. And the way Ranić had him, playing every single week, I don't think he's at that level. But I think he's a very good squad player for United. What do you think?
Yeah, because I was pondering the idea. I wouldn't mind if he goes out on loan.
Yeah, but I suppose he's got a taste of being United regular now. I don't think he'd fancy going out and loan.
Because well, now under the new manager, you've got Ahmad coming back. You've got Pelestri as well, the forgotten man. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, I wonder. I just wonder if those kids will get a chance.
I can imagine. We've got so many youngsters at the club. I can imagine a few of them will get a chance, but I don't imagine everybody will.
Mm.
So some people will have to look for futures elsewhere. And Ahmad's spell at Rangers didn't really go very well. So that's kind of set him back a wee bit, hasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. There was
Mhm.
rumors over the weekend as well about this young Brazilian winger by the name of Gabriel Veron.
Right, and Manchester United are interested in this player.
Yeah, apparently so. Plays for Palmeiras. The quoted fee was around 10 million.
Mhm.
But I'm not sure he would be someone that comes in straight away. I think the plan was if you do sign him was to loan him out. So it's one of those.
Yeah, it's really, really unexciting when you hear about a signing. But once we sign him, we're going to loan him out right away.
Mm.
There's nothing more kind of, as a fan, when you hear about a new signing, you want him to go straight into the team. You don't want to sign a young player and then loan him out. It's not very interesting, that is it? It's just like
Yeah,
bringing another player
especially
in.
when the squad is in the state it's in, where you think almost anyone coming in could probably fit in.
Yeah, but I suppose at 10 million, it's definitely worth a risk. I mean, that's nothing in today's
In
money in
today's
football.
market, yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's pretty much how I felt. I mean, for 10 million and he's 19, yeah, I don't mind.
Yeah. Matt says that Rashford and Sancho will improve when Ronaldo leaves. Um, I've heard a line from, is it Duncan Castles was saying today that the players will feel liberated if Ronaldo leaves. Well, some of them will. Um, you know, I can't believe that these players are using Ronaldo as an excuse for their own poor form last season. That's just not good enough. Maybe they will get better, Rashford and Sancho, because, like you said, the focus was on supplying Ronaldo, and maybe it'll be more of a team game next season. And I've heard that coming from Juventus too, that a lot of other players' form was suffering because there was so much focus on feeding Ronaldo.
The
Would you
only
go
thing
along with
I'll
that?
say, the only thing I'll say to that, especially regarding us last season, is the fact that when Ronaldo didn't play, none of these guys stepped up.
Yeah, yeah, you're 100% right about that.
It's not like they improved their game, adjusted, or played more freely. It was terrible.
Yeah, Santiago says we might be left relying on Rashford and Martial. That's what we were saying at the start of the show, and that
Mm.
would be the absolute nightmare scenario, because it's like going back to like 2018 again. Ollie ball, that's a backward step, and both these players are not at the level that they were back then. So
Yeah,
to rely on them to replace Ronaldo's goals would just be insane. But I really don't know where we're going to go. We're focusing our budget on the defense and the midfield, and there's probably going to be nothing left to sign a forward unless we can get somebody in on a free transfer. It's I think like I was saying earlier, Ronaldo has just really put a spanner in the works, and I'm sure the club are scrambling now. They probably accepted the fact that they're going to have to let him go. They can't force him to stay. So what are they going to do about replacing him? I mean, we're sitting here on YouTube speculating what's going to happen. I would say the people inside the club don't know what they're going to do. It's just come out of the blue like that.
yeah. And as you just mentioned, with the free transfers, I know Andrea Bellotti is now free agent from Torino. He's 28 years old,
That's
striker.
right. Yeah, I mean, was he was linked with United quite a number of seasons ago, and
Yeah,
you
and
know,
with Tottenham as well at one stage.
Yeah, he was an exciting prospect maybe 5, 6 years ago. But
Yeah.
would you have him now? Would you take him now?
Uh, as a rotation option, short term, perhaps because of the mess we're in. But yeah, it's not one that excites me if I'm being honest.
No. What is his goal record looking like in Serie A in recent
It's
seasons?
declined in recent seasons. It's not where it was when he was a prospect.
Yeah, I think Torino should have cashed in when they had the chance.
Yeah.
Um, they didn't do that. Now he probably will just go to uh, one of those clubs in Europe that kind of finishes kind of fourth in the top leagues, or
Or who knows? He might chase the money, and we might see him in the MLS or somewhere. I know,
maybe.
I know Lorenzo Insigne's gone over there. He's on about 12 million. He's the highest paid player now over there.
That just reminds me of Oscar going to China and at 24 and wasting his career. I mean, I don't.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, which basically meant he would never play for Brazil again. So I
Mm.
just don't understand why such young players would go out to America or China or Qatar or somewhere to kind of build up the bank balance. I understand doing that at 35, but at 24, why I don't understand why anyone would do that.
Yeah, it's a bit of
Mm,
a strange one, especially when you're already at Chelsea and you'd think he was, on big money anyway.
yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, yeah, definitely at Chelsea. Yeah, he would have been on, big wages. Don't understand why he did that. So another comment here, Vibes FC. If Ronaldo is not wanting to play in the Europa is a surprise to the club, then why really need to look at themselves? Yeah, I mean, I suppose no one's really surprised, but it's the timing of it. Why didn't he do this after the Crystal Palace game on May the 22nd? Why did he wait until the start of July to communicate his intentions to leave? We can sit here and speculate that it was he was waiting to see what United were going to do in the transfer market. But if it's purely about Champions League football, yeah, he was
See,
always
I
going to
don't
leave
think, but
anyway.
that's the thing. I don't think it's purely about Champions League. I think that's more for the media and the fans to speculate. I mean, you go online now, they still talk about Ronaldo versus Messi. It's ridiculous. These guys are 37 and 35 years old.
Yeah, and it must have been he must have been waiting to see what United were going to do in the market, and
That's
they've
the only
gone.
thing I can think of. Yeah, because he's got a
But
young family as well. He's recently had a newborn. He's settled where he is.
yeah, and none of us think that United are going to challenge for a title next season. But Ronaldo obviously is very ambitious, and if he's seen United bring in the likes of Eriksen and De Jong and a couple other big names, he would start to believe himself that I could be part of a team here that could surprise everyone and win the league. Even though we know as fans that that's not going to happen, but United have completely stalled in the transfer market, and Ronaldo's obviously got fed up. So if it is purely just about signings, so I dropped my phone there. If it is purely just about signings, then maybe Ronaldo can be persuaded to stay. If we do sign 4 or 5 players, what do you think?
Yeah, that's why I'm happy to just wait and see how this one plays out. Um, I think by Friday we'll know if he's on that flight or not. It will be telling.
Yeah, I was discussing last week with Chris about the flight out to Thailand, and what I was saying was it'll be interesting to see which of the fringe players will be left at home rather than if the players that they're up for sale essentially. Um, Alexa Bailly, Wan-Bissaka, Martial, will any of those be left out of the
Mm.
preseason tour? I wasn't expecting to be sitting here talking about Ronaldo not going on the preseason tour, but unfortunately,
Yeah,
that is what's
that's
transpired.
another thing that concerns me. We talk about how slow we are in the market, but also in shipping players out. There's a few more that I would have liked to have seen left by now.
Yeah, we haven't. The only players that have left so far
Are
is
the ones who've run out of contracts and decided to walk away.
yeah them and Dean Henderson, who's been loaned out to Nottingham Forest, and even a loan deal, we take weeks to get that over the line.
Yeah,
It's just crazy. Um, yeah, so it is going to be intriguing to see if anyone apart from Ronaldo. Well, first of all, it'll be intriguing to see if Ronaldo is on the plane to Thailand, and secondly, will any of the players who are available for transfer will any of them be left at home? Because there's no. And my feeling is that there's no point in players who are not part of Ten Hag's plans going on that preseason tour. There's
yeah, no,
absolutely
it's
no
it's
point in
it's
that.
a it's a waste of time, isn't it?
Yeah, because there's no
I would
point.
rather a few of the youngsters get that experience instead of people who we know are going to be on the transfer list.
Yeah, yeah. It says, "Do United fans want CR7 to stay?" Yes, we do. Because how do you replace those goals? I don't trust the other players to make up for his lack of goals, and there's not many great strikers on the market at the moment. And United obviously focusing their budget elsewhere. So I think the plan was for Ronaldo to stay for another year, and now that he's throwing that grenade in now, we're going to have to explore other options. So yeah, definitely, I wanted him to
Do
stay.
you remember when we replaced the Amsterdam with Laurent Blanc?
Yes, I do. Yeah, unfortunately.
If Ronaldo goes now, I think it'll be one of those. I think it'll be a makeshift signing that comes in for short term, and we won't get a proper striker anyway till next summer.
So Danny Ings then.
Someone like that, yeah, it's going to be one of those.
Yeah,
Heck, we may even end up with Belotti just because he's free.
yeah, that's the type of deal the Glazers would love.
Yeah,
Um, but how on earth do you replace Ronaldo anyway? You know, he's one of the greatest goal scorers of all time. If he wants to leave, no matter who you bring in, it's going to be a downgrade, isn't it? Even if he is 30, unless you bring in Harry Kane or Holland
I mean
or
there are better strikers out there. It's just that they're all tied down, and it would cost a lot of money to get them here. Yeah, but you'd have to properly do your scouting and research, and go pick up one of these up and coming youngsters.
well, I tell you what, if if Bayern were interested in Ronaldo, I say we do a swap with Lewandowski. You know, we'll take that. That wouldn't
Oh,
be
that
too
would be
bad.
fantastic. I think he's proper got his heart set on Barca for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But Barca can't get the wheels in motion because they haven't sold De Jong.
yeah.
Yeah, I think if eventually the De Jong deal gets over the line, hopefully that's done by Friday.
But it's all
Then
a bit mad. I don't because they're in for everyone. I've heard talk of Rafinha, Bernardo Silva. I don't understand how they plan to do all of this.
yeah, I mean they're not going to do all that business on just the De Jong money. There's just no way.
Yeah, yeah. Last I heard, they couldn't even register their free signings like Frank Kessie.
Yeah, yeah, I don't really understand what's going on there, but I think if De Jong does sign for United, though, that will start a domino effect in the market. It would get things moving. You know, with the likes of maybe Lewandowski going to Barca, Jules Koundé maybe going to Barca, Rafinha,
The
some of
only
these
thing I
players.
will say though, I would buy, and they are very shrewd. So whilst he's under contract, he can throw his toys out the pram all he likes. If that transfer window shuts, then he's going to have to just get on with it.
Yeah, definitely, and I'm sure he's not unhappy at Bayern. I'm sure he wouldn't mind staying there for another season, but he does seem as if he wants to change the
He seems
scenery.
adamant though. Like some of the stuff I've read from him, it really seems as if he wants to go. But you know, Bayern are very shrewd. They will only negotiate on their terms, and it's the way it should be.
Yeah, definitely. Just one final thing. There was slight rumors of Serge Gnabry being on the market this summer. He's got 1 year left in his contract and he hasn't signed a new deal yet. Um, eh, Arsenal will obviously be interested as he's a former Arsenal player and he's improved so much since he was there. Would you be interested in him?
If we couldn't get Anthony, yeah, why not?
Yeah, definitely. Are you surprised that Ten Hag has not been interested in Ziyech, who's leaving Chelsea? Because obviously they've worked
It's
together before.
it's probably the age. I hear he's in talks with AC Milan.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Um,
probably an age issue. Yeah, Anthony is just a very exciting prospect, isn't he? So that one would make sense. But again, with how long we take to do business, is it realistic? I don't know. And also, how many of their players would they really want to keep selling to us?
yeah, I think we'll get Martinez this season, and that's it. Because I think to sell Martinez on Anthony to United, I think Ajax are looking somewhere in the region of 100 million euros, and that's
Yeah,
just not going to happen.
yeah, and also the early links in the season to Timber. I'm not sure if we should give up on that entirely. I think we may revisit that maybe after the World Cup or next season.
Yeah, I would definitely revisit it next season, but Van Hal is going to cause the issue this summer by telling him he's not going to
I
play.
don't put it all on Van Gaal. Honestly, I think this is great for journalists because of the history with United. But it's not the first time that a national manager has said, "Listen, if you make this move, if you're not guaranteed first team football, then I may have to question your position in my team."
Ed says Loughborough. She speaks in my language, 90s and early noughties metaphors. Uh, yeah. Timber. See, do you think, with regards to Timber and Martinez, I don't think there'll be any issues. I'm just kind of speculating here, but Martinez will be aware that Ten Hag favoured Timber over him because he was first choice, and now he's like switched his attentions to Martinez because he couldn't get Timber. Do you think Martinez? I don't think he'll be bothered, but
Nah, I don't think he'll be bothered because I mean, if it was a like for like replacement, then I think there might be a few eyebrows raised. But I can see them both in the same team, so it's not. It's all right.
and who do you think will partner Martinez if he comes to United? Do you think it'll be Varane or Maguire?
No clue because it's an absolute roulette with us. I think all of our defenders have their own problems.
And they do, yeah.
I would like to think Varane, but if last season's anything to go by, he's going to be on the sidelines half the time.
Probably. I noticed something in training that the passing drills, De Gea was very much part of it. Obviously Ronaldo or Ten Hag wants his goalkeeper to be very good with his feet. So clearly he's getting he likes to get his goalkeeper involved in the kind of the passing drills. So um, is there a possibility maybe that Ten Hag can improve De Gea's distribution because he's coming for a lot of criticism for selection?
There's only one way to find out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing as well that people don't take into consideration when we talk about De Gea's distribution, who is he distributing to? He's always had Chuckle Brothers in front of him.
Yeah, or playing it to Fred and it bounces off Fred's shins.
Yeah, and again, Fred is not the player that I don't like it when he gets the ball in our half. He's just under pressure immediately. The amount of times I've seen Maguire play the ball to Fred when he's got two people around him, he loses the ball, and then we're under pressure. It's just this ridiculous.
And if De Gea kicks a ball into Rose Ed, it's highlighted. But I mean, Allison and Ederson do that as well when they need to. So
And this is the thing, like as much as that suits their system, when's the last time anyone said, "Whoa, what a save by Edison"?
Yeah, I know.
The man's a goalkeeper. Fundamentally, you need to stop the ball going into the net. That's what you need to do.
But some people say that because of De Gea, United can't play a high line. I would say because of Maguire, United can't play a high line.
I mean, that's the thing. There's more than one person at fault, isn't there? There's only one way to find out anyway. And yeah. Listen, if he doesn't fit the system, then he'll be gone next summer. It's not, it's as simple as that.
Yeah, definitely. He certainly looks like he's going to get at least a season to prove himself.
Yeah, he deserves a season. He deserves a season. Also, the other thing, the monstrous wages he's on, it's going to be so hard to sell him. No one's going to come in for him. And I think he's in the same boat as well. So he's gone down to his last year of his contract, and then we've got an option that we can take up. So if he really doesn't fit the system, then it's probably best to release next summer.
Yeah. Comment here from Bright says, you let him go already. We don't want many goals from one person, but from individuals like the other season. No stress. Yeah, ideally you want a team to be, you want them all to be chipping in with goals. You don't want to be relying on one person anyway. But
yeah,
the problem is we don't
I
trust
think
them.
our concern with that though at the moment is the fact that the likes of Rashford and Martial have declined from the last time this was required of them.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. Definitely. We need to get some. We need to get some kind of forward replacement. Then, even if it's someone that plays on the right and not someone who's a specialist centre forward, there needs. We can't just let Ronaldo go and make do with the squad that we have. You
But
can't
the
do
funny
that.
thing is, though, Carl, over the last couple of weeks, I've been thinking to myself, why are we not getting another striker to come in? Perhaps not as the main man, but just as a rotation option who's reliable.
Yeah.
I had my eye on Luka Jovic, who, flopped at Real Madrid. He's been out on loan. I think he's close now to going on loan to Fiorentina. Someone like him who's still in his 20s, got something to prove. I thought, go get him. And, there's only upturn, really. If it doesn't work out, the loan ends and he goes back.
Yeah, I think if Ronaldo does go, we will see a left field signing. Yeah, and we'll put
Musa Dembele, perhaps, who's still at Lyon. He's had a good season. He's 25 now. He was a very good prospect when he was at Fulham. Spent
and
some time at Celtic as well.
Celtic. Yeah, I followed him closely at Celtic. Yeah, he's a
Mm.
very good player. So that could be an option as long as it's not too expensive.
Yeah, I didn't think it would be too expensive. The season before this one, he was loaned out to Atletico Madrid, and he had a bit of an issue where he collapsed in training. I don't know if that's contributed to why that move wasn't made permanent. But this past season, any doubts around his health, I think, have been put to bed. He's had a very good season.
Seems very common now. Health issues with players and
Mm,
collapsing on the pitch. It's very, very concerning, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah. So we've mentioned a number of names that could potentially replace Ronaldo, but I bet you it'll be someone that we haven't talked about. It'll be somebody just come completely out of the blue.
probably.
Yeah. So we'll leave it there for today. If everyone give us a wee subscribe, comment your thoughts down below, and give us a wee like on the video. And I'll see you again sometime, Brush.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully, with some positive news to discuss.
Definitely, but right now it seems anytime there's positive news, it's followed up by more negative news.
One step forward, three back, isn't it?
Yeah, all the time.
Mm.
Okay, see you later.